Because at the end of the day, your LinkedIn profile is sort of like your digital handshake.
What is your process like? So what are some tips you give to someone who maybe they got let go? How would you tell them to start engaging with platforms like LinkedIn?
Well, I think everything starts with, first of all, taking a real objective look at your profile and figuring out, okay, am I really putting my best foot forward here? Because at the end of the day, your LinkedIn profile is sort of like your digital handshake. Like that's the first impression that you're making online, and that's how people are gonna, judge you. Again, it sounds kind of weird, but it is the reality of things. So first, that's what you want to do. You want to stay focused in your messaging in terms of what you have on your profile. Because a lot of the times, especially when people are transitioning to something new, not, from their own, like they didn't choose to transition, they just have to do it. So it's like, you're trying to hit all the different sides of things. So you're like, oh, I can do this. I can also do that. Oh, I can fit into this world. I can fit into this industry. So you're thinking the wider, the net I cast, the more opportunities I'll be able to get. And unfortunately, it actually works the other way around. So by trying to hit everything at the same time, you're doing yourself essentially a disservice, because everybody wants to see some focus. And it doesn't mean that, let's say, if you have a very diverse background, that's a negative thing. Like, I'm not saying that. But essentially, you still need to have a focus in what it is that you're good at. How would you be able to stand out from other people in the same niche, in the same area, or in the same industry? And that's very, very important. So once you have that, and, now that I'm actually saying it, it sounds like, oh, yeah, sure. It's not that easy to figure out sometimes. But hopefully when you do the work, whether you do that work on your own or you do it with somebody or you hire someone to help you, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, as long as the work is done, then you can think about your strategy in terms of, okay, so I have a good profile. It does represent truly what I like, the value I bring. So how can I get it out there? Because one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to LinkedIn specifically is people thinking, okay, so I've optimized my profile. I have all the keywords. I have all the good stuff. So now I'm just going to sit back, relax, and wait for all the wonderful people of the world to reach out to me and want to partner with me. So that's the most important thing. It's always a combination. And even from the standpoint of the LinkedIn algorithm, it does take your activity, like your daily engagement on the platform, into account when it comes to showing your profile to other people. So it's kind of goes back to the same thing. So you have that polished profile, which essentially reflects your professionalism. And then how do you make that profile visible? How do you drive traffic to that profile?
So there is a question here. I just went to the stage. This is such a cool platform, by the way, this opt-in platform. It's actually really easy to see. So Nicole Elizabeth Demary had asked, what are your thoughts on sending voice messages via LinkedIn DMs to someone who doesn't know you as a way to introduce yourself? I've noticed a debate around it.
Yeah, there's definitely a debate around it, and that's a great question. I think you want to mirror the style of the person who you're talking to. So if you're reaching out to someone brand new and you still have, you yet have to figure out what their preferred style of communication is, I would suggest that you go with both a text message and a voice message, just in case, because I personally am a huge fan of voice messages. Like, I love when people send voice messages to me, and I love sending them back. So I'm never opposed to that idea, but I know from a ton of people that is something that is considered as, oh, are they challenging me to do the same in return? Or is it like a phone call? What if I don't want this? So which is still, to me personally, is pretty hard to understand, but I kind of get the point. So I think following up with different formats in the beginning would be the most appropriate way, in terms of you're still trying to add that personal touch without sacrificing, that style of communication or the appropriate line of communication. So, and then once the person responds and sends you something back, if they send a voice message back, great, then they're definitely up for it and you can continue communicating that way. If they stick to text, maybe that's what you should stick to as well.
So I'm going to add a follow-up question to what she said, because this is a question I get asked a lot from people, is when you add someone just before you connect with someone, do you write a personal message, or do you make it sweet, or do you just add them? Like, What's your style on that?
I'm definitely pro adding a note, very much so, for the reason that let's imagine that you're trying to connect with someone who has a pretty busy network. Like they are active on LinkedIn, they have a lot of people reaching out to them. And you're reaching them in a very busy day, and they're looking through all of those requests, and all of them look, okay, so there's a bunch of people wanting to connect. I have no idea who they are. I have no idea what we have in common, and I have no idea whether I actually want to make that connection. Because there are obviously some people who are open to just connecting with everybody, and those people are mostly after numbers. And I'm not against that, but it's just not my style personally. So I think, what you want to have is you want to always have a balance. Yes, you want to have some, active networking going, but it needs to stay meaningful. It needs to stay valuable. It needs to stay sensible. So I always try to attach a personal note, even if it's something as quick as, hey, I saw you here and here, really loved your point on this. Can we connect? Even if it's something as simple as that, I think it adds that personal touch. It helps you to stand out and start a conversation right away, which is actually the whole point, right?